Hey guys, hope you're doing well. It's still in the morning. I didn't want to wake everyone up, so I'm in the garage. There's some of our license plates of some of the different places we've lived. Miss Carol's probably going to get me for doing this in the garage, but anyway. So this is lesson 8.1, and it's about Jerusalem, which ironically enough, we were talking about church last lesson, and this particular lesson is intended for us to be in our Jerusalem, our place where we're comfortable in getting out of that place. So it's kind of strange because we're talking about going out and sharing the gospel, and everyone's kind of isolating right now. So I thought it was kind of cool how these lessons are all coming together. But the verse for today is Matthew 22:37 through 39. And I'm going to read that. It says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Excuse me. Love your neighbor as yourself." And you guys know this is part of our mission and goals in children ministry. And it's tied to Deuteronomy 6, ironically enough, for us. So this lesson's talking all about loving our neighbor as ourself, and we're supposed to love God and then love our neighbors. And this is very important because it can be awkward. It's more awkward to share the gospel with a loved one, with a friend, because we feel like we might get rejected. And the lesson really talks a lot about that. So I'm going to go through like I always do with these lessons, guys, and please read them. Normally I'd have you read the verses, but it'd take too long for me to read through them on this. So I'll just go through the lesson and please pause it and read the verse as we're going through. And I hope you guys are getting something from this. And if we're able to put this online before tonight, I think today's the 6th or 7th of April. Um, if we're able to put this on before we do our Zoom time with you, then you'll already have the lesson. Either way, doesn't really matter. So an example I was giving was going on a mission trip. You can meet a total stranger and share the gospel, and not feel funny about it, because if they reject you, you leave and you probably are never going to see them again. Whereas if it's a friend or loved one, it can get it can feel funny because you have to see them again, and then you're going to think, oh, I bet they're angry that I shared the gospel with them. They rejected me, or you want to share it again. So um, in the Bible, where this is in Matthew, Jesus had just talked about paying your taxes, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Um, Read Acts 1:8. It's related because Jesus had told his disciples they would be his witnesses in not only Jerusalem, but also in the region, and then also in all of the world. So this isn't just something that we should do with our neighbors. When the Bible talks about our neighbors, it's not saying the house next door necessarily. It's talking about throughout the world, and that's what's so critical about right now. As I've told you guys, during this time when we're self-isolating, you can still do things for others. I think I might have mentioned to you, it might have been the kids church video where I talked about one of the elderly guys in our church. We go over and cut his grass and we never even see the guy, but it's helping him a lot. We could wave to him through the window, but I always call him and say we're stopping by, and it's not bragging that we're helping him. It's helping someone who's in isolation, who can't go out and cut his own grass. The guy's 90 years old. It's Mr. George. So in these verses, Matthew 22:37 through 39, and verse 34, the religious leaders are trying to test Jesus. So they're asking him which commandment was the greatest. They're just wanting to try to corner him and see if they can get him to either lie or to say something that doesn't make any sense. And then one of the lawyers, you got to watch these lawyers. Someone's going to become a lawyer who's in Journey, which is cool. I deal with lawyers a lot. Verse 35 through 36, this lawyer, the Pharisee, asked Jesus that. And in 37, Jesus says, love God with all your heart. It doesn't say part of your heart, it says all of your heart, and your soul and your mind. I just touched my nose. You're not supposed to touch your face during this time. I feel like a ding dong. Um, so love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then in 39, Jesus says, the second greatest is like the first. So he's almost putting it up there equal to God, not quite with God. Love your neighbor as yourself. And he kind of connects the two ideas together. So if you love God and you love your neighbor, they kind of go hand in hand. It's almost one and the same. 1 John 4:20 through 21. 1 John 4:20 through 21. It says, whoever loves God must also love his brother. Wow, and this type of love is, we've talked about the Greek and the Hebrew, and this is a agape love. It talks about in 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. Now, it's not like we love a family or romantic or liking someone that's turning into love. It's a choice we make every day. Like in 1 John 4, 10. 1 John 4, 10. So it's something we have to strive for. It doesn't like, oh, I'm so in love, I'm going to do that. It's something that may be challenging every day. In Matthew 7:12, we choose to do for them. Okay, so we have to consciously think about it. It's not about feelings, it's about actions. Someone can say they're going through a difficult time. You could say, I'm going to pray for you. But is there something that we can do to help them also? It's still okay to pray, most definitely, but then it's about actions, not just feelings. It's about actions. So we need to talk to them about being saved. We can share Christ. It's not about judging. 2 Corinthians 5:19. 2 Corinthians 5:19. Look that up. This is a perfect time while we're isolating, while people are going through something. This is the first time in my life. I'm one of the older dudes, but this is the first time I've been through something that's affected the entire world. You go through a hurricane, you go through an earthquake, tornadoes, a flood, that affects a small area. This is affecting the entire world. So how better can Christians get involved and talk about God or demonstrate God? So this is a really cool time. Like I said, you could do it with strangers. You can do it on social media. Can we share the gospel with our friends? So let's get out of our comfort zone. I wanted to read real quick, guys. In the lesson, it says, when Jesus says that we should love God with our heart, soul, and mind, he's actually referencing the Shema, one of the most famous Jewish prayers. I hope I pronounced that right. Shema. The part of the Shema Jesus is pointing to can be found in Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9. Faithful Jews recited these verses during their regular prayers time in the morning and evening. I've actually seen people do that on airplanes flying all night. The reference to our heart, soul, and mind is intended to be all-inclusive and holistic, involving everything that makes us human. So everything conscious, and then taking actions for that. So I hope you guys enjoy this lesson. I hope we get together on Zoom. We're just getting together. If you want to cite verses, you can. Don't have to. We're just kind of wanting to touch base with you guys, have a little bit of fun. I've got the meeting set up. Normally we meet for 30 minutes. We can meet longer, shorter, it doesn't matter, but I've reserved the block of time for 2 hours so we can just kind of hang out, and then we could even leave and you guys can hang out. It's up to you. So hope you guys are doing great. Miss Carolyn, I miss you, and hope you enjoy this. We will talk to you later on. Bye-bye, guys.